Caramel is a really versatile building block for dozens of different desserts. Making your own caramel is a really simple process, but there are a few pitfalls to watch out for. One is the caramelization of the sugar, which can cause the mixture to solidify, and the second is either undercooking or overcooking your caramel. In this video, I'll show you how to make a basic caramel that's perfectly cooked, as well as how to transform it into a delicious and easy caramel sauce. Now for my setup, I have a pastry brush with some water and a 2-quart saucepan. For the caramel, I'm going to start with 1 cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of water, and a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. This is going to help prevent the caramel from crystallizing and seizing up as it cooks. So the first thing I'm going to do is just use my pastry brush and just wipe down the sides of the pan, getting any little sugar crystals that are on the side of the pan. You want to wash those down. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to place this over medium-high heat and bring it up to a boil. Now you don't want to stir your caramel as it cooks. That can cause crystallization. So you just want to occasionally swirl the pan just like this. Now this method is called a wet caramel because we're adding the water. There's also a method called a dry caramel where you don't add any water. It cooks a little bit faster, but you run the risk of scorching your sugar. So the water is going to help to prevent that. So basically we're just letting that water cook off, and then the sugar is going to start to caramelize. Okay, so now that my mixture's come to a boil, I'm going to let it continue cooking until it starts to get a little color. And I'll go back in there with my wet pastry brush and just continue to wash down the sides every now and then. And again, you don't want to stir, but you can give the pan a little swirl. Okay, so it's just starting to change color a little bit around the edges and in a few spots. So at this point, you just want to give the pan a little swirl to start to even out the color. And this is the time when you really want to watch your caramel, because if you step away, it can go from undercooked to burnt really quickly. So just keep an eye on it and keep swirling the pan. Now you can test your caramel by putting a little drop on a white plate. So I'll show you what it looks like at this point. So this, as you can see, is really light. This is going to have very little of that bittersweet caramel flavor that we're looking for. Just a few seconds later, and it's a little bit darker. This is a light caramel. Again, we don't really use caramel at this stage. It's not going to have the complexity that we're looking for. The darker a caramel goes, the more complexity it's going to have. Now we have a medium amber. This is what you'll use for caramel sauce or a lot of the different recipes that we have on our website. And watch closely and pay attention, because in just a few seconds, we're going to have a dark amber. And here we have a dark amber. Now this is what you would use for creme caramel or anywhere where you want a really assertive, strong caramel flavor. Now when you're at the point you want to remove your pan from the heat, and you want to use your caramel right away because it hardens up rather quickly. One of the easiest things to do with your batch of caramel is to make a caramel sauce. So I've got a new batch that I've started, and it's at the medium amber stage. So at this point, I'm going to pull it off the heat and add 3/4 cup of heavy cream. Now you want to stand back because it will splatter a little bit, and caramel is very hot. Now I'm going to put it back on the heat, and you can stir it at this point with a wooden spoon, and you'll notice that some of it starts to seize up, but as it melts, it'll get nice and smooth. Now to finish the caramel, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to add it slowly. I've cut it up into small pieces, and I'll add just a few at a time and then stir it in to melt. Beautiful. Once the butter's all melted, the last thing to add is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This smells like heaven. This is perfect for drizzling over ice cream, over fruit, or basically in any kind of chocolate dessert.